Well. I'm back. We got ourselves a new Sky game today. How exciting's that? Just thought I'd go live, really react to it, share the love with you guys. Hear from you in the chat what you guys are thinking. I'll share my thoughts as well. Go through the players, new rules, although I don't think there are too many new rules. Any differences from last year, spot any changes, and, well, I've already got a draft. I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. I think there's not much tinkering I need to do now until the pre-season's over, but I can talk through that and some of the players that are close to getting in, but I couldn't quite squeeze in. If you're in the chat, by the way, feel free to say hello. Let me know the kind of players you're liking the looks of, etc., etc. It's always good to have people in the chat saying hello. Andy, pleasure to have you, mate. Not a problem at all. Hope you have a nice evening with your guests, mate. And, oh, by the way, I need to plug this. Basically, in order to ensure that YouTube recommends the right content to the right people, because I make a lot of FPL videos on this channel now, I've created a new, solely focused on skyff Golden Goal channel. I've linked it. It should be in the pinned comment in the chat. I've never actually done a chat pinned comment before. But if you click on that, that's the new YouTube channel that I'll be doing all my Sky content on. I thought I'd keep this initial stream just to the main channel so everyone sees it and gets a chance. But from now on, I'll be doing all my streams and skyff videos on the skyff channel. So make sure you subscribe to that to see the content in the future. I've done a few graphics today to get that one running. So yeah, we should be up and going. And I forgot to press record on this stream to upload it to the Sky channel. But I'll do like a skyff first draft and how to play the game, etc. video. And I'll put that on the main channel. Oh, the Sky channel, sorry. Should you have a look at the game then? Hello, Mark, by the way. Right, let's have a look-see. There's a little hint at the draft I've done. I'm not going to talk through it in detail, but if you want to see my team... Oh, sorry, I hit the mic then. That's what we're looking at. That's my team at the moment. I'm liking Declan Rice, by the way. I think he's a good price, and playing for Arsenal, I think you can get lots of bonus points. What I thought I'd do, I've not really gone through the rules in any detail yet, so I thought I'd have a quick look through like all the rules of the game, and we can see if there are any changes or anything meaty to have a look at, basically. First of all, the prizes. Let's have a look at that a second, because that's almost as important as the rules, isn't it? So still first place gets 50k, second 5k, third, fourth and fifth get 500. Interestingly, they have done a, well, I'm not really sure because it doesn't reflect your performance in the game, but essentially, as long as you get your team in by, well, it's down here, isn't it? I'll just go back to the main screen a sec. As long as you get your team in by the 11th of August, someone at random is going to win £10,000, which is quite exciting. So yeah, you got to enter your team in by 8 PM Friday, the 11th of August, so basically before the first deadline. Yeah, so 10k goes to someone random. Well, there's probably going to be thousands of teams, aren't there? But just an interesting thing to be chucked in there. I think, though, it gets rid of the Manager of the Month awards. So I didn't see, when I looked at the prizes, I didn't see a Manager of the Month award. As you can see there, that has been removed. Anyway, let's have a look at the rules. So I'm not going to go through them in detail because, well, I'm expecting most people that are watching this stream play Sky already. But essentially, there's a couple of nuances, basically, between Sky and FPL. One, you get a captain. You have to set a captain for each game day that's played rather than just one captain for a game week. And you get bonus points for passes completed and tackles made. Obviously, the rest is pretty similar. You get extra points if a defender or a goalkeeper scores a goal. Midfielder's in the middle, and then striker gets 5. Assists are worth 3 points. Clean sheet for a goalkeeper's worth 7. 5 for a defender. You get 5 for a penalty save. The rest you can see there. Bonus points, I don't think these have changed at all. No, you get your 2 points for 4 tackles, 3 saves, 60 passes, and 2 shots on target. And then the +3, tier 2, 5 saves, 5 tackles, 70 passes, 3 shots. That's not changed. No new formations. Those are the formations you can pick. None of that has changed. Same with captaincies. Transfers, looks like we've got 50. Again, like we had last season. Maximum of 5 each game week. There'll be 1 overhaul by the looks of it. So January, there's going to be 1 overhaul. I hear that's an FA Cup weekend in January. I personally really like that. because I feel like the first overhaul kind of, well, it helped the people who are new to the game or maybe less experienced playing. You know, you pick a team for 3 weeks and then you get an overhaul, or it gives you a chance, if your team's not very good, to completely change it around and attack the rest of the season. But the fact there's one overhaul means probably got to play it quite safe to start with, pick the trusted players and run from there. One day, mate, we will get a 5-4-1, exactly. Don't think there's anything major there. Same deal, really. Sky, because the game's managed by Skybet, you can create a paid mini league, basically. Those are the entry pots, 2, 5, 10 or 20, and Skybet manage all the money. You get all the prizes, they don't take a commission or anything, and Skybet manage the money, so you don't have to worry about sending some random bloke on Twitter an entry fee for a league, and they'll pay out a couple of days after the game finishes, usually. So I think that summarises the rules nicely. I thought what would be good is just going position by position. So I'm going to do that. Starting off with the keepers. I think, yeah, Sky have gotten rid of the player faces in the pictures now, which I don't mind. It kind of takes away from a bit of the personality of the game, because usually you'd get a player's face, but half the time they'd be in an old kit or wouldn't actually have a face anyway because they didn't bother. So yeah, just looking at the keepers, two most expensive, not really a surprise. Alisson and Edison, I think they're a bit too expensive to be going for. I remember the season before last, Alisson was the top scoring keeper, got saves bonus and clean sheets pretty much every game. So, you know, if he has a season like that, and I imagine Liverpool will step things up defensively. I see Ben's in the chat, who's a Liverpool fan. The midfielders they've signed, I think the problem with Liverpool was their midfield last year, really. Van Dijk's regressed a little bit, but I feel like with the midfield signings they've made, they might improve a bit defensively. Edison was just flappy, wasn't he? I won't say the swear word that goes after that, but yeah, he was a flappy one. Basically conceded with every shot on target, so I'm not sure I'd be going near him. Pope and Ramsdale in at sort of 7.5. De Gea 7.4. He might be on his way out from Man United. I hear we're pretty close to getting Onana. David Raya 7.3. Kepa 7.2. These guys are a bit expensive for me. Usually in Sky, I like to pick the cheapy keepers, to be honest. Pickford at 7. Steele at 7. New Spurs keeper Vicario at 7. Jose Sarr 6.9. Loris 6.9. Flecken could be a good option should he nail himself in that Brentford team at 6.9. Fabianski, Neto, Guaita, Sanchez, Henderson, Ortega. For me at the moment, I've gone for Sam Johnston. We'll see how it gets on in pre-season. Obviously, he's priced very closely to Guaita. And yeah, just under Hodgson, Palace did pretty well towards the end of the season. They kept 9 clean sheets. I remember this from doing an FPL video. They kept 9 clean sheets all season, and 6 of them came after Hodgson took over. So I've got a feeling Palace will be all right defensively. What you're kind of looking for from a keeper, in my opinion anyway, is one that's relatively cheap, plays for a mid-table team that gets like an average number of clean sheets, but gets a lot of saves. And Sam Johnson, towards the end of last season, sort of ticked the box, really. Ignore those two. But when he keeps a clean sheet, you get saves or get saves bonus. You know, 5, 11, 12, 9, 4. Those are the sort of points totals I'd expect from him, basically. So for me, at least, he is my keeper at the moment. And we'll see how they get on during pre-season. You know, it might be that Guaita's back in the team, but I've got a feeling Johnson's taken that number 1 spot now. Be interested if there are any Palace fans in the chats to let me know about that. Ben Vlogs, if you've just joined the stream, mate, I literally explained that 2 or 3 minutes ago. So if you cycle back, it will. It should talk you through it. I think that's the end of the starting keepers, isn't it? A couple. So Muric, Travers, Fotheringham. Fotheringham starts for United, Sheffield United, doesn't he? What about the Luton keeper? Where's he? He's not in the game. See if he's there. The starting Luton keeper, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he's not in the game at the moment. So that's interesting. Maybe they've omitted him. So that's your goalkeepers, basically. Yeah, let me know in the chat who you're liking out of that goalkeepers list. I think for me, I'm not too inspired by the prices, I've got to say. The one that really stands out to me is Johnston, if he can nail himself in the 11, really. But I don't know, I feel like the goalkeepers are priced quite highly this season. Now, if you look at the points, a lot of them scored over 200 points, comparing them to the defenders, where No, I don't think any defenders got over 200. Only a few midfielders got over 200, and only a couple of strikers got over 200. So it's a really valuable position if you hit the right one in terms of points. So yeah, I guess in there they're priced fairly compared to the points they get, but I'm just not all too inspired by the expensive ones. Mark is liking Pickford, fair enough. So have a look at the defenders next. They have really, well, last season Sky sort of took a turn in terms of defenders. Normally, the defenders in Sky are the best players because you get a good amount of points for clean sheets, and a lot of them, certainly from the top teams that have the ball a lot, get passing bonus. Last season, there weren't many clean sheets to go around, to be honest, so the defenders are not priced as highly. Well, they didn't score as many points, and I think as a result, Sky have not priced them as highly, which to me is a sign that you need to pick the defenders, basically. As you can see in my team, I've gone 5-3-2. And to be honest, a lot of these expensive defenders are really good. I feel like Trent in that inverted fullback position, drifting into midfield, could be a really good option. As we saw towards the end of the season, got passing bonus pretty much every game. When he didn't get passing bonus, he got a clean sheet, and he made a lot of attacking returns as well. So if Trent is playing that inverted fullback in the midfield position, he's going to be absolutely unbelievable as an asset. And comparatively to Van Dijk, Van Dijk will probably get passing bonus more consistently, but less attacking returns. And I think the fact they're priced so closely, for me at least, means I'm going to go for Trent from the off. Ruben Diaz seemed to nail himself in that Man City 11 towards the end of the season. 9.7 million, I think, is a ridiculous price for him. I remember when he first joined the game, or was first signed for Man City from Benfica, I think he came in at 9 million, and he pretty much broke the game at that price. Everyone had him. So, yeah, 9.7 million, I think, is unbelievable value. Got the Arsenal defenders. Gabriel, he wasn't massive on the passing bonus. Quite a few clean sheets, but not an absolutely nailed-on player to get passing bonus, so I think I might be skipping over him. Cancelo, yeah, I don't think he's going to be in Man City, is he? Although, if he is, that's going to be quite funny. Ben White, he's just not nailed enough in that team, is he, really? I don't think you can go for him. Akanji, I mean, we'll see. He played a lot of Premier League football, didn't he? But towards the end of the season, obviously got left out. Played fullback a few times, so got a few less passes. I think the two for me from City are Diaz and Stones, and they're both priced very fairly, so you can get both of them in your team, basically. Also, like Robertson at 9.1. Didn't do too well. Well, actually, no, his passing bonus seemed to be pretty good last season. So maybe 9.1 for Robertson is a good price as well. The value player last season, Saliba in at 9. That's not too bad a price, to be fair, compared to the points he got last season. Zinchenko's a good price at 8.8. For me, I think Zinchenko is my favourite of the Arsenal defenders. Looking at who they've signed in Timber, from what I gather, he plays right back or centre back. Zinchenko at the moment has only got Tierney as like competition for his spot, so I feel like Zinchenko could be the most nailed of the Arsenal defenders, and I think 8.8 million is a good price for him. Thiago Silva, 8.5 could be good value if they start keeping clean sheets. Man United, they kept the most clean sheets in the league last season. So we got Shaw, who is 8.8. He's in my team at the moment. Then Lisandro Martinez. As I said, Man United kept the most clean sheets in the league last season. I can't scroll across, there we go, to where he scored his points. But he was pretty good for passing bonus. Just looking at those games. Got passing bonus against quite a few opposition. So I think he could be a good option at 8.5 million. He's a ball-playing centre-back, so he's going to be, up there for the passing bonus. Sidemen shorts, yeah, it's a Sky Bet game, so it is UK and Ireland only. But I hear you might be able to use a VPN from someone if you want to play. But you didn't hear that from me. Chilwell and Badiashile, 8.5 million, sort of. That's decent prices. Varane, I think that's a good price, but he's not going to play every game. Lewis Dunk, 188 points, 8.3 million. He's not gone up massively in terms of value. I think he's a very good pick and will be in most teams. Fofana could be a good shout at 8.1 if he nails himself in that team. I think Webster's a bit too expensive there at 8 million. Yeah, it doesn't have a great injury record. Not necessarily nailed in the Brighton team as such. I think 8 million is a bit too much for him. Same with Veltman, similar sort of vibes to Webster. Just going to see if there are any value ones. Pedro Porro at 7.8 could be a good option. Very good going forward. Did all right for attacking returns last season. So could be an option. Anything else? I think we're getting into the real cheapies here. One observation I've had, and let me know in the chat as well if you've seen any really nice cheap defenders, but I have not really come across any super cheap enablers yet that I expect to play. I mean, all these guys we're looking at as starters for their team still, but they're just not, I don't think they're going to score enough points to be worth it, really. Colwell could be a good option, you're right. I think he's a wait and see for me, though, but I agree. He nails himself in that team, and that's about all we got. Got some Burnley defenders there. So Bayer, 6.6 million could be an option, but I mean, he's got Man City first fixture. I think Bayer is probably the cheapest defender that's going to play. Into the midfield, Salah's 11.5. That's sort of similar to last season, really. Rashford in at 10.9. Obviously got a massive price hike. I think it was about 8 million last year. Not sure he's quite worth 10.9 million. I've gone for Shaw, saving myself 2 million basically, and I'm going to use Shaw. We'll have a look at the fixtures, but I'm going to use Shaw for the first Monday night captaincy, I think. De Bruyne 10.9, Bruno 10.7, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli all in the 10s. I really like Son at 9.7. I just couldn't find a way to fit him into my team, basically, but I really like that price for him. I just think he's going to have a really good season next year, regardless of whether Kane stays or goes. I think actually Son's stats improve when Kane isn't in the team. So yeah, whether Kane stays or goes, don't really think affects Son. In fact, it affects him for the positive if you look at the historical data. Diaz at 9.6 is a good price. Foden, he will play in place of the injured Kevin De Bruyne. Rodri is one of the most solid players in Sky. If you look at his points record, he's basically got a minimum of 4 points per game, which is just unbelievable. He's always a really good safe pick if you've got around that amount of budget. Maddison will be interested to see how he gets on at Spurs. I think 9.3 is just a little bit too much, really. Grealish at 9.2, again, a bit too much. Jota could be an option. It's nice to see him as a midfielder at 9.1. I think if he nails himself in the starting 11, or Diaz does, they could be good options. McAllister, you can pick him. That's a lot of money as well. I think he's basically gone as an option now. He won't take the penalties, and he's 8.9. Bowen, it's a bit too much for him. Same with Mahrez. No one's going for Trossard. Sterling, if he, kicks on at Chelsea, that could be a good price. Not really interested in any of those until we get to, and Ben's mentioned him already, Enzo Fernandez, who, well, he's a bit like Rodri, really. Got a minimum of sort of 4 points per game. And for 8.4 million, I think he's going to be cracking value. In fact, to be honest, I've got to decide between him or Declan Rice for that third midfield spot. But yeah, he's looking really good at that price. And Bumo, 8.3 million. I think if you compare him to Tony, that's a good price. 8.3 million for the talisman for Brentford. That's a midfielder. He'll be on the penalties. It's a decent price. Pascal Gross, unfortunately, a bit too expensive. We'll see what happens with Kovacic. If he nails himself in that City team and starts getting pass and bonus, much like Enzo Fernandez, he could become a good option. Wait and see on lots of these guys. I think, unfortunately, the Brighton mids are a bit too expensive now. Rice is a wait and see on bonus points, as Ben says, but I just like the thought of him at Arsenal. And he did all right for bonus at West Ham even. So I feel like with Arsenal, he can kick on in a team that obviously keeps the ball more as well. Tielemans, I think I'll wait and see in Villa's team. Could be a good bonus player. Casemiro's not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. Tackle bonus, quite a lot of games and some goals. Not a bad option. Just didn't stay fit enough and got banned lots, didn't he? Caicedo and Matoma at 8. Paquetá at 8. I'm just not massively excited by these guys. Polinia could still be a good option at 7.9 with the amount of bonus he got last year. He was in the 6 millions last season, but even at 7.9, I think you get what you pay for with him. I also feel like Gibbs White could have a bit of a breakout season. 15 attacking returns. in 36 starts. So he's, yeah, looks good. And I think they'll kick on again next season and become a bit more attacking. So he could well become an option. Unfortunately, Hermione, this is Sky. So he's 7.9 million in Sky. Shout in the chat if I miss anyone. And Ciso could be starting for Brighton, but again, that's quite expensive for him. I'm just scrolling through. I'm not seeing anyone massively exciting just yet. And Dye could be a good option for Sheffield United. Was their main attacking threat last season in the Championship. So 7.2 million could be a good price for their sort of talisman. Brownhill, I've seen a couple of people draft him in. He's going to start every game for Burnley pretty much. But whether he's going to actually score any bonus points, I think remains to be seen. Lerma, if he nails himself in this Crystal Palace team, he is an absolute tackling monster. So it could be an option as well. He could be, well, I see Mark's named, I think he's saying Kamara there as this season's Polini. I think Lerma could take that role too for tackles. Only thing is with a big tackler is obviously they get carded a lot, so could see some bans this season. The one for me is Christian Norgard at 6.9 million. He's the cheap sort of midfield enabler I'm looking at. Spent quite a bit of last season on the sidelines, but when he did play, he did all right. Scored a couple of goals, tackle bonus, pretty much 2/3 of the games that he played. I think he's, if you were asking me for this season's Polini, I think it's going to be Norgard. And then obviously, when we get to him, I don't think I've passed him yet. Yeah, Boubacar, is it Boubacar Kamara from Villa? He's another good option. Certainly started off last season really well. Oh, what happened there? We lost it. I have to scroll back down. So yeah, and obviously I feel like Villa are going to be even better and improved. Signing of someone like Pau Torres, someone who can really play the ball out of from the back, I think could make them an even more passing team than they were last year. So Kamara could well be an interesting option. Antoine Semenyo, he's, in my opinion, in FPL at the moment, he's the best 4.5 striker. He could be starting a lot of games for Bournemouth. I have a season ticket. I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't see the scarf. Hang on. There you go. I've got a season ticket at Bristol City, who are the team that sold him to Bournemouth. And it was a club record sale for Bristol City. I feel like he's going to force his way into the starting 11 at some point. So he might be an option. But other than that, I mean, we are in the dregs here of players that might actually start. Yeah, I think really the cheapest ones that are pickable. Yeah, Tielemans is in the game, mate. I think he's 8.1 million from what we looked at. I think the cheapy midfielders for me are Kamara and Norgard. Those are the two that I'd be looking at. And Lerma maybe as well. If he can. I remember when he first played in the Premier League, he was an absolute tackling machine. So if he could go back to that, playing for Crystal Palace, I think it'd be a good option. Just find Tielemans for Ben. There he is. 8.1 million. Horvath. I remember the Luton goalkeeper's name as well. Horvath is not in the game at the moment. I think Kamara's more of a holding midfielder, isn't he? Whereas Tielemans is sort of in the three. So the midfield will probably be Kamara, Tielemans / McGinn, or Ramsey / McGinn. They've got sort of 4 players for 3 positions now, in my opinion. Quick look at the strikers then. Obviously, Haaland's most expensive, 12 million. Kane in at 11.7 is actually 0.2 million more than Salah, which is interesting. I know he outscored him last year, but I've just got a feeling that Salah's going to have a really good season this season, probably better than Kane's going to have. So I am probably going to opt for, well, I already have in this draft, but I'm probably going to opt for Salah over Kane. And Haaland's priced at 12 million. He's the most expensive player in the game. To be honest, I think that's a reasonable price for him. They could have made him more expensive to make you think about it, but pretty much everyone's going to have him, aren't they? Jesus at 10 is not bad. Personally, beyond Haaland and Kane, I am not a massive fan of any of these strikers, apart from one. So I think Gakpo's going to start playing up front for Liverpool, but 9.6 I think it's a bit too much. Watkins, 9.3 is not too bad. If Nkunku obviously gets off to a good start, 9.4 is a good price for him. I personally am a big fan of Mitrovic at 8.3 million. I think that's a very reasonable price for him. And if you see, he's started 23 games, scored 14 goals. Obviously missed a substantial part of the season through bans and injuries. And then when he did come back, scored a goal against Southampton, 2 goals against Palace, and unfortunately missed a penalty against Man United, but he could have scored in that game as well. So he's got a very good track record. So in most of the games that he played, he scored either a goal or got an assist in. So yeah, I think he could be a good option. I think he's the best of the sort of sub 8-9 million strikers, really. Obviously, if Man United sign a decent striker, he could be an option. But I'm looking through the rest of them, and it's a bit... It's just not exciting me, really. Let me know in the chat if you've got any strikers that you're looking at. For me, I think it's Haaland and Mitrovic. And then obviously Kane can go in as well, but I'm opting to go for Salah instead at the moment. Calvert-Lewin, you know, if he can stay fit, I feel like he suits the Dyche system really well, so that's a good price for him. But to start with, I can certainly justify Mitrovic above him. And I'm pretty sure Fulham have a decent start. Well, they got Everton away as first game, so that could be all right. So I'm conscious I've got a team on screen here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it all, and I'm going to do... We can pick a draft as a stream together if you like. Oh, forgot Evan Ferguson. Let's have a look at his price. He's another one that people will be talking about, isn't he? What's he coming at? 7.8. Again, comparing him to Mitrovic for 0.5 more, I just think Mitrovic is better. You know, he's nailed in that Fulham team. Probably still going to take the penalties. Solanke could be a good option at 7.8 as well, to be fair. I think he scored 10 goals, 6 goals, 8 assists, so not bad. Ferguson, he's great, but just not sure how often he's going to play. It's a bit bleak for the strikers for me. What I thought we could do as a stream together, with a bit of obviously input from me, is we can pick a draft. So anyone watching this back or watching this live can get a decent idea for an 11 to pick. Obviously, I can't get rid of the players I went for on stream, but we can have a crack at picking an 11 if you like. One other thing to talk about, because skyff basically, every day there is a game of football, there's an option to pick a player to captain, right? So every day that there's a game on, you need to be cognizant of owning a player who is a good captaincy option that day. So Friday the 11th of August, Man City away at Burnley, Haaland captain, no question. Saturday the 12th of August, got Arsenal at home to Forest, Sheffield United at home to Palace, Everton at home to Fulham. Yeah, exactly like the Euro side, men. Brighton at home to Luton, Bournemouth at home to West Ham, Newcastle at home to Villa. So whilst I don't have an Arsenal player, you might argue that they're a good option as a captaincy. Right now, I've got Lewis Dunk, who I think Luton at home, he could at least get passing bonus against. And then on Sunday, you've got Brentford against Tottenham and Chelsea against Liverpool. So I've got Salah and Trent, so I'm covered for that. And then Monday the 14th, you've got United against Wolves. So you need a Man United player, basically, to cover yourself. Or you can use a transfer during the game week to bring in a player to cover that day. And then that's it for the fixtures. I'm pretty sure they've not updated in the game yet. So I will give a shout out on Twitter. I'll just make sure I get his @ right a second. I'm just going to check that. So if you want to know a bit about the fixtures, because they're so important in Sky, I'll put it in the chat. Ian Parrin at Planet Sky on Twitter is your man. He might even be in the stream chat. I don't know, he sometimes joins. But he is the man. Every season he does a fixture planning spreadsheet. So you can check him out. to get on that. Basically, the skyff fixture planning spreadsheet is the secret to finishing really highly in Sky and separates you from, I don't know, the casual players, if you like. It sounds a bit anal, I know, using a spreadsheet to manage a fantasy football team, but it really does help. I think he is too expensive, Ben, personally. I think he is. I've gone for sure, saving myself 2 million at the moment. I feel like a player for that price needs to be on the penalties. That's how I'm feeling. If you pick ourselves a team then, what are people saying in goal? Obviously, I like Sam Johnston, but let's go for someone that's not Sam Johnston in goal and move from there. Any suggestions for a keeper? I've got to say, I quite like Jordan Pickford. Everton with a pre-season under Deitch, and regardless of whether they're good defensively, he will get saves bonus pretty much every game. So I don't mind him as an option. But yeah, let me know if there's any other shouts in the chat for a goalkeeper. Pickford to United. I think Onana's going to go to United, mate. I think that's going to be the United signing. Obviously, it looks like Raya's on his way out of Brentford, and Flecken is going to take his place. And the Brentford goalkeeper was one of the top scoring keepers in the game last season, so we could go for Flecken. What are people thinking? What are people thinking? Obviously, I like Sam Johnson. I think he could be great at that value. I'm going to go for Flecken then, if there's no suggestions. Areola. Yeah, we could go for him, to be fair. He's not a bad price. 6.6. I think we need to see a bit more from him to prove he's going to start, though, because obviously he only started a few Premier League games last season, so I'm not sure. Not sure it's quite the same argument as Johnson, who was starting for them regularly. Yeah, I think Flecken could be a good option. There's only one reason they signed him, and that's because they're getting rid of Raya. Let's go for Flecken then. Defenders. Alexandru, good to have you in the stream, mate. What are we saying about these defenders then? Personally, I want a bit of Liverpool and a bit of Man City. And being cognizant of the game against Forest, we might want to have an Arsenal player to cover captaincy. But yeah, shout in the chat if you've got any defensive suggestions. I personally think Trent has got to be a lock. Just with the passing upside. John Stones, we'll go for him. I would agree. I like Trent for a bit of passing upside. Yeah, let's go for Trent as well. Here for any other suggestions that people have. I like Diaz too. I think he's going to be as nailed in the City team as Stones. So I'm gonna crack in Diaz if that's all right. Maybe go for one more or leave it until we pick the rest of the team at this point, I think. Lewis Dunk, yeah. Let's go for Dunk as well. I'll leave the 4 side men short, and then if we've got space, I'll try and squeeze in an Arsenal defender as well. That's what we're looking at the moment. Midfield then. What are we saying? Salah? No Salah. That's the kind of question you've got to ask yourself. Do you want to go cheap in midfield and go for Kane up front, or do we crack Salah into that midfield straight away? Let me know what you guys think. I personally am going to pick one player off the bat. I'm going to go for Enzo Fernandez straight away. I think he's going to be a good option. Mo the GOAT. People saying Dunk. We already got Dunk in, mate. Gravy Dave, he's in, mate. Don't know, Alexandru. I think we just got to wait till pre-season, basically. If he's playing in pre-season, then he is. We'll see if him and Pep make up. It'd be interesting if he is, because he's priced at 9.3 million. So Fernandez, all right. Someone said Salah. Let's get Salah in there. Visser. Is he a midfielder? Ooh, that could be exciting. Brentford striker playing in midfield. I quite like that. Yeah, he's pretty good, isn't he? I didn't see him there at midfield. Well, thank you for spotting that. Let's go for Visser then. That's a decent shout. You want to go in Bumo as well? You can only have one or the other. I'll only have one. I've got to say, I quite like Visser at that price. We'll do a poll. And Bumo is on pens. Here's a poll. Hopefully that poll works. Have a vote. We'll put in the player that wins the vote. But yeah, I didn't see Visser there at 7.6. I think that's a great price. I really like Norgard as well. I'm going to go for him if that's okay, chat, because 6.9 million I think is cracking value for him. What's the vote saying? 4 votes, 75% gone in Bumo. We'll move on. I mean, obviously, it goes like saying I think we need to have Haaland in, don't we? What are we saying about the other strikers while we wait for that poll to settle? We need another striker, basically, I think. Unless we go 4-5-1. What are we saying? Do you want Harry Kane? Can we afford Harry Kane? I think we might be able to. Not much else, though, if we do. We could go for... I think Mitrovic is great value, I've got to say. I really do. Go for Nkunku. Let me know what you think about strikers. I like Mitrovic, personally. I think if we get Mitrovic, we can also get Mbumo in as well. And Nkunku, someone's saying Nkunku. I'm not sure we can afford your man Mbumo if we do that, but we can get Visser if we do that. He also has Liverpool at home first game. Any suggestions for a striker? Or we could go 4-5-1, go for an extra midfielder. Looks like Mbumo's a lock from what the chat's saying, so we'll go for him. So that leaves us with 8.8 million for a midfielder or a striker, because you can't have a 5-4-1. I think we need a Man United player as well, actually. So basically, we've got the captaincy on Monday, and that's going to mean we need a Man United player. Because they play Wolves on the Monday. So we might have to sacrifice one of these lot for a Man United player. Dare I say it might have to be Mbumo. You want to go Bruno? You can't squeeze them in, mate. They're too expensive. They're so expensive. Over 10 million. I like Shaw, personally. Look at that for a team. What are people saying, actually? That's another poll to do. I'll finish that one. I'll do a Man United assets poll. So we want, basically, midfielder. See what people are going for. Defender. Or both. So obviously that's an option. Or none. Let's see what the stream thinks. I mean, as a draft goes, that's pretty solid in my opinion. Nothing in the bank, I know, but I mean, across the board, that's a pretty strong draft, I think. Like if you want to be lazy and start the season off well, I think just copy that, to be honest. Don't really need to think about it any more than that. Just set the captains. How do I do that? Oh, I've got to confirm them, haven't I? No Arsenal attack criminal. Could be, mate, but they're 10 million. It's hard to justify going for them. It really is. Against Forest, though, I know it's rough. Maybe you could start with an Arsenal, captain them on Saturday, and then immediately transfer to Salah on the Sunday. That could be an option. So let's potentially do that then. Let's start with Saka. Feels a bit wrong, but you got 50 transfers, haven't you? Start with Saka. Enzo's not a fraud, mate. Look at his points. He's a points machine. Interesting. Lots of people favouring a Man United midfielder. There's one more question I want to see what people are thinking as well. I want to know if people are going for Salah or not. Salah, Kane, or neither, I think, is whether people are going 2 premiums or just Haaland. Let me know what Man United assets you're thinking. For anyone watching this back, it's what the polls are saying at the moment. Oh, I tried. There you go. Oh, right, you're saying Enzo is the fraud Fernandes and Bruno's the real one. It's interesting. Most people still got most votes saying they're going for a Man United midfielder. I'm just thinking Wolves at home could well be a clean sheet for United. I've really got, just in general about Wolves, I've really got a bad feeling about them this season. They seem to be offloading pretty much their entire squad and not really buying anyone. They got rid of their best player, in Ruben Neves. I can't remember the defender's name that's gone as well. They sold one of their defenders. Yeah, I just think Wolves are in a bad spot at the moment. So I feel like that could well be an easy clean sheet for United on the first day, which is why I'm liking Luke Shaw. Dylan Hudson, mate, this is Sky Sports Fantasy Football. Yeah, it's a game for UK and Ireland. It's my personal favourite fantasy football game. If you want to know more about it, scroll back through the stream. I go through the rules and changes to the game, etc. Should give you an idea. And then this is an example team you can pick yourself to start things off with. Dan and Dylan, absolutely. This is, if you're in the UK or Ireland, this is by far and away the best fantasy football game. And you do have to be 18 to play because it's a Sky Bet affiliated game. So you need a Sky Bet account. But there's a £50,000 prize if you win, and paid mini leagues where Sky Bet manage the money. So it's a bit of a winner, really. That's not this isn't FPL. But if you subscribed to this channel for FPL, don't worry, I'm still going to be making FPL videos. For this game in particular, as you can see in the pinned comment, I've made a separate channel because I've always done the Sky Fantasy Football on this channel, but recently FPL's kind of taken over. So I think to make sure the right people get recommended the right videos, I've created a separate channel for Sky Sports Fantasy Football content, and that's the pinned comment. Yes, you do have to have a Sky Bet account to play Sky Sports Fantasy Football. I don't think there's another way to play the game. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm just going to see if there were any topics or questions that people wanted me to talk about on the old Twitter. Talk about FPL, mate. I've spoken about FPL enough in the last week. I will start making FPL content again tomorrow. And I've got to do a first draft video in Sky as well. First video to go up on the Sky channel. I did put I can't find the tweet. I did put a tweet out saying if anyone had some questions for me. So stick around and I will answer those. I was very kindly tagged in a tweet from FPL Focal recommending my channel, which I'm very pleased and very happy for. But it's it's completely filled up my notifications on Twitter, so any tweet that I'm now looking for, I can't find. So bear with. It's just this celebrity. No, I'm joking. I'm not a celebrity. Thank you, Dylan. I appreciate that, mate. I can't find the tweet. Oh, there we go. possibly the rules for newbies, covered that, and how to cover captaincies on the opening weekend. Oh, well, we sort of talked about that. I think you could go for an Arsenal player to start with and then immediately transfer to Salah, or you could just captain Lewis Dunk against Luton, which I don't think is the end of the world. Yeah. One more question for the chat before we go. I want to know... Oh, we got to finish that one. I want to know if you're going Salah, Kane, Salah and Kane, or none. That's the next big question. We'll leave the old draft on screen. I think I'll end things there with a poll. That was a good 45 minutes to chat about Sky, wasn't it? I think that covers pretty much everything for this first day. To be honest, most of the picks I think I'm going to wait through pre-season, but to get you started, I think that's a nice draft. And in reality, unless any of these guys gets injured, I've got to say, I think that'll do you really nicely, with an exception of the goalkeeper who might not start. So you just got to keep an eye on pre-season basically to confirm that. But if you pick a team like this to get you started, I reckon you will be absolutely sound. With the exception of maybe starting off with an Arsenal midfielder to cover the Forest captaincy, unless you want just go Dunk against Luton at home, which I think could be a good option as well. Yeah, let me know in the chat if you've got anything else you want me to cover. But yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything, to be honest. It's nice to chat about Sky again, isn't it? And yeah, thank you to everyone that's joined the stream. I really appreciate it. It's nice to interact with people in the chat and stuff. So yeah, long may it continue. I do have a friend of mine, Sam, as well. Last season, I did quite a lot of Sky and fantasy football content with him, so I imagine he will be making some appearances on this, or on the new channel next season, where we cut the cloth on Sky and stuff. So expecting to see Sam as well. I'll try and do at least a weekly game week preview. Sometimes there's more to talk about than there are in other weeks, so I may skip a few when there's not much to talk about. But yeah, I'll probably do either a weekly video or a weekly stream just to do a game week preview as well. But yeah, I reckon that covers us nicely. We've only got 3 votes on that poll. Get voting in that poll. Let me know. Salah and Kane, Salah or Kane. I'll do some polls on Twitter as well, because it'd be interesting to see what the Twitter crew are saying in terms of some of the key decisions they've made on their first drafts. Right. I reckon that should get you going nicely for Sky. And I've got to go to training now anyway, so I'm going to go and stretch and get ready for a swim. So I will catch you guys in the next stream I do. Let's go to this screen a little bit. There we go. Yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching, interacting in the chat, and yeah, come along to share the first draft in Sky with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hang on, I'm just waiting. I'm going to the right, the intro screen in OBS, which is in the wrong place. There we go.